It really is a great honor to be here today, and thank you, Dr. Keynote, for the nice words. We were having lunch the other day, 2 days ago, and I was saying how delighted I am, how honored I am to be invited to speak to you here today. As you mentioned, our last overseas assignment was in Vietnam, where they have a school that is an actual United Nations school. It's one of 2 in the world. And so, of course, UN Day is a big day for the United Nations International School in Hanoi. But I'm just thrilled to see that it's a big day here, too, at the Lincoln School, an American curriculum school in Kathmandu. I have with Zoe there, and Susan, we have a really fond, nice, personal history with UN Day. For the 3 years we were in Hanoi, we came every year and we saw just the wonderful things which are exactly the same as here. Of course different. The procession of the flags, the wonderful smiling faces, the food, which I'm really looking forward to. And I love, in particular, the tradition which was at UNIS in Hanoi, and which is here too, where the oldest and the youngest kids from each of the countries and territories, they look so proud and so wonderful when they're coming up to the stage. So I'd like to have a round of applause for all of you. I promise I'm not going to talk too much because I actually have an experience with this when I was in Hanoi. Our 3rd year, the Secretary General of the United Nations happened to be in town on UN Day, and he was invited to give the keynote remarks. Now, he's a superstar internationally. He's a household name, at least among people who follow stuff. So anyway, the kids didn't know who he was. They had never heard of Ban Ki-moon. And while the parents and the sort of adult community, we were all really excited, the kids had no idea, except they could feel the excitement in the air. And word spread throughout the lower grades that not Ban Ki-moon, but Funky Moon, a Korean boy band pop group, was coming into town, and that's why we had all the added security. And so you can imagine their sort of look of bewilderment when this distinguished diplomat comes up to the stage and gives very dry remarks. I promise I'm much less distinguished than he is, and my remarks are no less dry, so I'm going to keep this short. As I thought about it over the weekend, why it's so wonderful to have a UN Day here. And I was thinking the more and more I thought about it, the more it made sense. And I think there are really 3 reasons. The first has to do with what the United Nations is about, and also I'd like to think, since this is an American curriculum school and I'm a representative of the United States officially here in Nepal. By the way, this is my native dress is the international dress of the bureaucrat. I really firmly believe that what we're celebrating here today at UN Day is in the very best traditions, not just of the United States, but also of all the countries that we see here represented today. And I'm astounded to see that there are 57 countries and territories. We're celebrating diversity, we're celebrating tolerance, and I think Dr. Fleetum's remarks, quoting Dr. Martin Luther King, were exactly right. We're celebrating a shared commitment to the United Nations' highest ideals. It's astounding to me, and it's wonderful to see such a diverse, fun, happy group. And it's something that really should be celebrated. I think that this diversity here, it fosters tolerance, it requires tolerance, but it also celebrates tolerance. And that's a big part of what the United Nations Day is all about. The second reason, I think, has to do with Nepal. And I am absolutely delighted, and it's 100% appropriate and wonderful that we have a representative of Nepal's peacekeeping forces here today. You might not know this, but Nepal, a very small country, is one of the most heavily represented among UN peacekeeping troops around the world, from Haiti to Somalia to Congo. So around Nepal, thank you very much for your service. proud and you make the rest of us proud, so thank you very much. My family and I have only been here 2 months, so we're new, but you know, everyone's always new at some point. And one good thing about the way a lot of us are is we get to travel around the world and see new things every couple, 3 years. But we already get a sense that Nepal really is someplace special. The tolerance that I've mentioned, that Dr. Freedom mentioned, the respect, the mutual respect, the sort of cosmopolitan good humor, the sense of fun. This is something that I see here today, but it's also something that I see in Nepal every day, not just in Kathmandu, but around the country. And I think it's why people tend, when they come to Nepal, I know some of the teachers here have been here a long time. We have Peace Corps volunteers who come and they stay a long time. Our ambassador has been here on his 3rd tour. Our deputy chief of mission has been here twice. I would love to come back, and I've only been here 2 months. But it's really something special. And then the third reason is all of you, the community here at Lincoln. The teachers, the parents, the faculty, the alumni, but most of all, the children. I mean, what can I say? We have just a fabulous group of kids. And we have a good group of teachers, a fabulous group of teachers. And I just happen to note, not only hearing Dr. Freedom's remarks, but also looking at your mission statement and your core values. You know, it lists learning, collaboration, respect, compassion, integrity, responsibility. I mean, really, what could be better? And it exactly mirrors, I think, the principles that are enshrined in the UN Charter, which was signed in 1945 in San Francisco. And this was at a time when we're at the conclusion of the most brutal war in the world's history. And the people who came to San Francisco in 1945, they put forth a striking proposition that through peaceful interactions, the nations of the world could work for peace and security, social progress, shared prosperity, and human rights. Now, this is a work in progress, to be sure, and much remains to be done. Many people doubt that it's possible. But it's a serious endeavor, and it's one that's entirely worth pursuing. And I think it reflects our best impulses, not just as Americans, not just as the representatives of the 57 countries and territories we see here, but as ordinary human beings in the world. And I think if it has any chance of succeeding, this remarkable project, it's really up to the people that we see here today. The ceremony that we've seen here, it's wonderful, it's humble, it's cute, there's great music, there's great food, it's fun, it's even a little bit goofy. But it's also really, really important, because I think it's through, Dr. Fleta mentioned that this is a privileged environment, but it's also an environment that breeds a certain level of responsibility for all of us, because I think what we can do here is we can take this sort of spirit of inclusion, of tolerance, of mutual respect, of compassion, of understanding for human rights, and we can carry this forward when we leave this sort of cocooned insular environment and go out in the world. And so with that, I'd like to say again, thank you to everyone here, thank you to everyone, all of you, and please, please enjoy the food.